Screen is visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay. Okay, so good evening, all of you. I welcome you all for the problem solving session for the NPTEL course on architectural approaches to decarbonization of buildings, week 1. I am Sudhir Kumar Gupta, and I will be taking your problem solving sessions and solving the queries that you will be having related to this course materials, and exam, etc. Today is our first session, and this problem solving session will be happening each week, same timing. Every Tuesday, it will be happening from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And you can also approach me at the Gmail that have been provided, and you can join the problem solving session through the meeting link that have been shown here. And the recording of each problem solving session will be provided to you via YouTube link, and all the materials that have been discussed in this session will also be uploaded, and the link will be shared with all of you. Let me admit someone who wants to join the session. Okay, so today we are having now 6 participants, and I'm starting the first session of this problem solving series, and whoever will be joining, I will be admitting them in between. So let's start the session, and in this particular session we will be solving and discussing the various practice problems related to the course and the lectures that have been covered in that particular week, and based on that it will be helpful for you directly or indirectly for the questions that will be given to you in your final examination as well as in the assignment problems. So it will be a kind of recap or revision of a whole syllabus of each week. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear to all of you? Shreya, Farid, are you there?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So here we will be solving the practice problems. There are some of the practice problems based on the week 1 lecture 1, and I hope all of you have gone through the lecture 1 of week 1, and based on that try to solve and practice these problems. Here is the first problem in front of you all, and try to answer to the first problem. Which of the following gases is used as the reference gas for calculating the global warming potential? All of you who have joined the meeting, they can recall and answer this particular question in the chat box. And if none of you know the answer, then we will be discussing it after all of you have given your answers. Let me admit someone. Oh, Farid has answered CO2. Rest of you also try to give your answers for this particular question that has been displayed in your screen. Rest of Rest of you also try to answer. So till now only okay. Sanskriti is also answering related guesses. Okay. So this particular question, if it comes in the exam, I would like to clear you that carbon dioxide, as mentioned by Farid, carbon dioxide is the reference gas for calculating the global warming potential. Global warming potential is calculated relative to the carbon dioxide, and the global warming potential of carbon dioxide is assigned as 1, and other gases, whichever global warming potential you try to compute in the terms of or taking the reference of this carbon dioxide. If it is 2, global warming potential is coming 2 for some gases, it means it is generating or it is having the twice effect of the emissions that can be produced through carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide global warming potential is 1. First of all, that should be clear. And carbon dioxide is taken as a reference for calculating the global warming potential of other gases. Is it clear now? Is it clear to all of you? Can we move to the next question?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So here is the next question. Try to answer to this second question as well. Whoever knows the answer and who can recall it. So Jisnu has answered option D, that I can see. Others also within 1 minute try to give answer. Otherwise, we will be discussing the final answer of this question, and try to recall the lectures that have you have covered in this week one. All these things have been discussed, and if it is not discussed, then we will be discussing it in detail here. So, what does a higher global warming potential value of a gas signify? Sanskriti is saying option A. No. So, as I have stated in the previous question also, let me admit someone. Okay. So now we have a count of 8. So here is the question. Try to give answer. What does the if a gas is having the higher value of global warming potential, like it is having 10 or 20 or 30? So what does that mean? How what do you understand by that? That you have to state here. Whether higher global warming potential means it cools the earth more effectively, or it has shorter atmospheric lifetime, or it traps less energy than CO2, or it causes more global warming. So this time also, I think option D, Jisnu. Jisnu has answered option D for this particular question, question number 2, and D is the right answer. Global warming potential basically states that how much it is capable of causing the global warming. So if it is having higher global warming potential value, it means it causes more warming as compared to CO2. Is it clear? Second number question. Can we move to the third question? Option D is the right answer for this second question. Can we move to the third question, or do you need some more explanation? Hmm. All of you, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Move to the next
Okay.
question.
Okay. Here is the next question then. The question is visible to all of you. Which sector is the highest indirect contributor of global greenhouse emissions? Agriculture, buildings, waste, land use changes. So Farid is asking, saying option B, buildings. Others also try to give your answers and participate in this problem solving session and make the session interactive. We will discuss several practice questions of this week one, and option C. Alam is also saying option C. Okay. So for this particular question, I would like to clarify that for this question number 3, the correct answer is option B. Out of the 4 options that have been given here, building sector is the highest indirect contributor to the global greenhouse emissions, and it has been discussed in the slide 10 of lecture 1 of week 1, that you will be knowing that building sector has the highest indirect contributor to the greenhouse emissions due to the embedded emissions. Indirect emissions is referring to the embedded emissions in the construction materials like cement, steel. Is it clear? Option B is the right answer. Let's move to the fourth question. Here is the fourth question in front of you all. Try to give answer to the fourth question as well, like you have given to the previous questions. Which of the following climate agreement was adopted at COP21? What was the name of that agreement? Try to give answer to this question. Let me see who has studied well and able to build the concept and what they have answered. So Alam Majhar, yeah, he has answered option A, and he is absolutely correct. Here, as you can see, option A, Paris Agreement. It is the right answer. This Paris Agreement was adopted in the 2015 during COP21, and which includes the voluntary emission reductions commitments, which is also properly known as NDCs for all countries. And this was discussed in the slide 14 of lecture 1 that you can refer later also. Let's move to the fifth question. Here is the fifth question in front of you all. So try to give answer to this fifth question also. In India's electricity generation mix in 2014, which was discussed in slide 16 of lecture 1, which source was the dominant? Out of the 4 options, which source was helping, or which source was contributing more to the India's electricity generation? Yeah, Farid is saying C. Yeah, Alam is also saying C. Both of you are absolutely correct. Option C is the right answer for this particular question, question number 5. And according to IEA report also, 74% of the India's electricity in 2014 was generated using coal. So this is a major dominating source. Fine. Let's move to the sixth question then. Here is the sixth question based on the lecture 1 of week 1. And for this, you can refer to the slide 8 also, and you will be able to give the answer if you have studied that slide well. Slide 8 of lecture 1. What does an RCP, representative concentration pathway, represent in climate modeling? What should be the most suitable answer for this particular question, question number 6? Try to give answer to this question, all of you. And if you want some more revision, then parallelly you can do one thing. You can open the slide of lecture 1 also, and there also you can see and recall what should be the appropriate answer for this question number 6. This can be asked in the exam as well. So let's see how many of you have given the answer for this question number 6, and see who is able to mark it correctly. Yeah. So Sanskriti has said option D. What about others? Farid and Alam, you also try to give your answers. As per Farid, it is C. Okay. Let's move to the question and discuss it with all of you. Yeah. So Farid has answered it correctly that the correct answer to this question number 6 is option C, that RCP or representative concentration pathway, as the name itself suggests, it represent the GHG concentration trajectories, and these RCPs describe possible greenhouse concentration scenarios used in the climate models, and they are also named after radioactive forces forcing values into 2100 centuries, which is also referred as RCP 2.6, 4.5, RCP 6, something like that in slide 8. So option C is the right answer, and Farid is absolutely correct in this particular question as well. So can we move to the next question? Question number 7. Let me admit someone wants to. Okay, yes sir, he is texting. So let's move to the next question. All of you try to give answer and revise the things that you have studied, whether you are able to apply the things or not. Here is the seventh question for. Okay, so let's move to the week 1 lecture 2. Some of the important questions for this lecture 2 of week 1, and here is the first question from that series. What is the primary aim of bioclimatic design in buildings? You have studied about the bioclimatic design, which was well explained by ma'am in the lecture of week 1 lecture 2. So what do you understand by that? What is the primary aim of constructing this bioclimatic design? Out of the four options, which is the most appropriate one? Try to answer that option. Let's give 1 minute time and see how many of you can answer it correctly, and how many of you understood the concept of bioclimatic design. Meanwhile, let me admit. Okay, so now we are having 9 participants. Option C. So Alam and Sanskriti, they have answered option C. Rest of all also try to recall. I am presenting the question again, and all the answers that I have received for these particular questions, they are absolutely correct. This option C is the correct answer for this question number 1. That is the primary aim of bioclimatic design in buildings. It is to minimize the energy consumption through climate responsive design. You, based on the outside or ambient climatic condition, you will be designing your building in such a way so that it will be having minimum energy demand or minimum energy consumption. And how you can do this? You can create your bioclimatic design by integrating energy efficient strategies. It can be insulation, it can be passive heating or cooling, or it can be smart systems that completely depends upon the local climate condition. Is it clear? Can we move to the next question? See, is it clear to all of you? Okay, so here is the next question then. Try to answer to this question also. Most of the questions all of you have answered correctly, and I hope you all have studied the lecture series very well. Here is the second question. Which of the following strategies involve generating clean energy on site using sources like solar panel or wind turbines? So what you can call this particular process of generating on-site clean energy. Out of the four options, what should be the appropriate terminology for indicating this strategy? All of you try to answer, and there is no negative marking, but you will be able to revise your concepts. So I have received two answers for this question as well. Farid and Alam, they are the leading answerer for this question, and both of them have answered B, and B is the right answer for this question. Yes. So renewable energy integration, it is the correct terminology or the strategy that involves generating clean energy on site using sources like solar panel or wind turbines. So let's move to the next question then. Question number 3. So you must have studied about the lead griha. They were discussed in the lecture, and they are the examples of what? They are the insulation materials, or they are the climate models, or these are the green building certification systems, or they are the smart home automation tools. So out of the four options, what do you think? Where have you studied about lead and griha? Under which category? Try to answer to this question also. Lead and griha. Let's see who can answer this question correctly. So let's see. Okay, now Farid has answered to this question, and let's wait for others also to answer to this question. Question number 3. These are the two certifications basically that are used for green building certification systems. That's why option C will be the right answer for this out of the four options. Let's move to the next question. Question number 4. Here is question number 4. Try to give answer to this question as well. What is the purpose of conducting a life cycle assessment in buildings? Why life cycle assessment is important? So I have received one answer. Let's see what he has answered. So Farid has answered option C for this question number 4. Yes. So he is correct. Option C is the correct answer for this one. That is, life cycle assessment is done to evaluate the environmental impact from construction to demolition, complete life cycle from cradle to grave, you can say. And this life cycle assessment, it examines the environmental impact of a building or product throughout its entire life, from raw material extraction to end of life disposal. It helps in identifying the total carbon footprint. That's why option C is the right answer for this question number 4. Let me admit. Okay, again 10. So let's move to the next question then. Question number 5. Here is the question number 5 for all of you. Try to answer to this question number 5 as well. Embodied carbon is calculated and expressed in what unit? It is basically the carbon emission. Embodied carbon emission is expressed in what unit? Out of the four options, choose the most appropriate one. And let's see how many of you have answered it. Okay, Farid again has answered option D. And option D is the correct answer for this question number 5. That is embodied carbon emission. It can be expressed in terms of CO2 equivalent. Everything we will be dealing or calculating in terms of CO2 equivalent, which represents the global warming impact of all greenhouse gases emitted throughout the product's life cycle. So he has answered it correctly, and option D will be the correct answer for this question. Let's move to the next question, question number 6. Here is question number 6 for all of you. Which of the following is not an energy efficient technology used in buildings? So, ma'am has discussed about various smart or energy efficient technologies that can be integrated in buildings to save energy, to reduce the carbon emissions. So, out of the four options, which is not an energy efficient technology to be used in the buildings? Try to answer to this question, question number 6. Read all the four options carefully. And let's see how many of you have answered it correctly. Okay, so for this question, most of you have selected option D. Yeah, option D is the correct answer for this question number 6. That is, traditional incandescent bulbs are highly energy inefficient. In contrast, all the other three options like advanced insulation, smart sensors, high performance windows, they all are helpful in reducing the energy consumption and emissions. And the option D is discarded, or it is a right answer, which is the most or highly energy inefficient. So let's move to the next question, question number 7. Try to give answer to this question as well. Question number 7. What is the impact of using reclaimed or recycled building materials on greenhouse gas emissions? So if you are using recycled building materials, what will be its impact on greenhouse gas emissions? Out of the four options, select the most appropriate one. And in some of the question, it can be also there like two options are correct. So in that you have to choose the multiple answers. And if in only one answer is correct, then you have to choose the single answer for this question number 7. So let's see how many of you are able to give the answer. Yeah, again, most of you have answered B for this question, and B is the correct answer. All of you are correct. Like, as you all know, using the recycled or reclaimed materials, it will be helping you in avoiding the emissions from manufacturing new materials. Thereby, overall, it will be reducing the embodied carbon emissions and contributing to the sustainable constructions. That's why option B is the right answer. So let's move to the next question, question number 8. That is projected in front of you all. Try to give answer to the question number 8. Let me admit. Okay. So here I am projecting the question again. Question number 8. Which of the following strategies that have been mentioned in option 4 can be addressed or can address the full environment impact of buildings beyond operational energy? So this is also very straightforward question. If you have understood the concept of embodied energy, operational energy, then you will be able to give the answer to the question number 8. This is based on the slide 7 of lecture 2 that have been discussed. You can refer it later on also. Slide 7 of lecture 2. Okay, so let's see how many of you have answered this question. Question number 8. Okay, now I think only one person has answered it till now, and rest of them they are now guessing and thinking about the options. Let me project some for more time and let others to answer, which will be the most suitable one. Others also try to participate and interact. Try to give your answers for this question number 8. What will be the right answer for this option number 8? Sneha Alam. Acha, Sneha is answered as C, and Farid is also has answered C. So option C is the right answer for this question. You both of you are absolutely correct. Like life cycle assessment, it consider all the stages of the building's life, starting from the building production to the uses to the disposal, and then going beyond the operational energy use to evaluate the total environmental impact of the building office during its lifespan. That's why beyond the operational energy, if you're talking about, then life cycle assessment will be the correct answer for this question number 8. Both of you, Sneha and Fadi, have answered it correctly. Then let's move to the sample problem questions for lecture 3 of week 1. And based on the lecture that you have studied, try to give answer to this sample problem as well. Here is the first question in front of you all. Which national mission under India's NAPCC is most directly related to the building sector? What is the name of that national mission? Try to give answer to this one as well. Okay, Farid has answered option B. Others also give your answers. Then we will be moving to the next question. Okay, I have received several answers from the audience, and all of you, or most of you, let me see. Yeah, all of you have answered option B. Yeah, and all of you are absolutely correct. Option B is the correct answer for this question. Question number first of lecture 3, that is National Mission on Sustainable Habitat, is especially focused on promoting eco-friendly practices or energy efficiency or sustainable urban development within the building and habitat sector. So all of you have answered it correctly. Let's move to the question 2 then. Here is question 2. You must have studied about the ACBC, Energy Conservation and Building Code. So, what does or what is ACBC for residential buildings in India called? If it is for residential building, then this a particular name is assigned to these ACBC codes, what is the terminology? Whether it is ACBC R or Eco Niwas Samhita or ACBC Griha or Green Samhita. What is the correct answer? Okay. Now it is clear. Now voice is audible. Okay. So try to give answer to this question. Question number second. Question number second. Try to give answer. Yeah. Now I have received answers from Farid and Sneha. Yeah. They both of them have answered option B, and B is the right answer for this question. As you all know that in the lecture 3 it has been discussed like Eco Niwas Samhita is the residential adaptation of ECBC that intended to promote energy efficiency in housing sectors across India. That's why option B is the right answer for this question. Let's move to the question number 3 then. Here is question number 3. Try to recall an answer to this question. Question number 3. India's NDC aims to reduce emissions intensity of its GDP by what percentage by 2030? And this is in reference to the 2005 levels. What was at 2005 levels? Taking that as a reference, what or how much reduction the NDC aims in our GDP by 2030? Question is clear? Okay, now for this question I'm getting multiple answers, but only single answer is correct for this question. So two people have answered C and one have answered D. Try to see this question again and give your final answer. If somebody wants to change, then I will be discussing it. So people who have answered C, they are absolutely correct for this particular question, question number 3. Like in lecture 3, it has been well explained that NDC, that is nationally determined contributions, that includes a target to reduce GDP emission intensity by 33 to 35% by 2030 relative to 2005 levels. So it is 33 to 35%. Option C, it is the right answer. Can we move to the next question? Are you guys able to recall? Are you guys able to recall? Option C is the right answer. Can we move to the next question? Okay. So remember these ballpark numbers. So here is question number 4. What do you understand by carbon sink? Or what is carbon sink? If you will be defining it, how will you define? Out of the 4 options, choose the most appropriate definition for carbon sink. And mark, all of you mark your answer in the chat box. Let me see how many of you can answer it correctly and understood the concept. So till now, two people have answered. Both of you have answered option B. Sneha, you also want to add some answer to this question? So let's wait others also for others also to give their answer to this question. Accumulation of. Okay, so based on that, let me inform you all that option B, whoever have answered option B, they have answered it correctly. Two people have answered option B, and it is a natural system that absorbs more CO2 than it emits. So it can be called as sink. For example, forest, vegetations, they act as a carbon sink. They absorb more CO2 from the atmosphere and helping in climate change mitigation. So both of you have answered it correctly. So if you are absorbing some of the carbon and emitting more carbon, so it cannot be called as sink. But if you are absorbing much more CO2 than you emit, then it can be called as carbon emission, carbon sink. Fine. Let's move to the fifth question then. Here is the fifth question for all of you. What do you understand by the term net zero building? This is a very popular term and it will be coined several times. So, what is your basic understanding about net zero building? Try to give answer to this question. Question number 5. Let me see how many of you have answered. Okay. So, Sneha, I think she is the first to answer this question. Option C, she has opted. Others also try to give your answers for this question. Here, for this question number 6, option C, whoever have marked it option C, it is the correct answer. That a building that consumes as much energy as it produces on site, then it will be referred as net zero carbon or net zero energy building. So let's see how many of you have answered it option C. Sneha has answered option C and Alam has also answered option C. So option B is not the correct answer for this question. Is it clear now? Okay. Then let's move to the next question. Question number 6. What do you understand by the regenerative buildings? Try to give your answers for this question also. Question number 6. What do you understand by regenerative buildings? Okay, Farid has answered is option B. So both of you have answered it as option B. Let's wait for some more answers. Let's wait for Alam. You want to add, or you agree with the answers that they have given? Yeah. So all of you have given or choose opted option B. Option B is the right answer for this question. As in the previous question, we have defined net zero building. Similarly, a regenerative building, it will be the building that produces more energy that they consume. So all of you are correct. Let's move to the next question. Question number 7, that is projected in front of you all. Try to give answer to this question as well. Question number 7. I think someone wants to join. Let me admit. Yeah. Try to give your answers for this question number 7. Alam has answered option C. What does the circular economy approach in construction promote? Okay. So these all things are based on the lecture 3rd of week 1. Farid has also answered option C. Okay. So option C is the right answer. That is reducing waste and reusing materials in a closed loop. That's why it is referred to as circular economy approach. And this in this circular economy approach in construction mainly focuses on recycling, reusing materials, waste minimization instead of discarding the resources. So let's move to the question number 8 then. Here is question number 8. Try to give answer to this question number 8 as well. What role does smart technology play in buildings? We have discussed about several smart technologies, sensors, lights, LED lights. So what does role they play in the buildings? Try to give answer for this question number 8. Let's see how many of you have answered it till now. Okay, C. Most of you have opted option C, as I can see, and C is the correct answer for this question. Question number 8. Here, as you can see, these smart technologies or the IoT devices and smart systems, they help in real-time energy monitoring, adaptive control, and reducing the overall energy uses in the buildings. That's why option C is the right answer for this question. And with this question, the sample problem for this lecture 3 is also over. Let's move to the sample questions for lecture 4 of week 1 and try to solve for the last lecture 4 series of week 1 question. Here is the first question. What is the India's target year to achieve net zero carbon emission as announced at COP26? So India has promised or declared that they will be achieving net zero carbon emissions at the COP26 meeting. So at what year or what was the India's targeted year? Try to give answer. All of you try to recall lecture 4. It was well discussed in the slide 8 of lecture 4. So let me see how many of you have answered it till now. Okay, so Farid has answered A and Sneha has also answered option A. Others also try to give your answers. Yeah, Alam has answered it correctly. It is the 2070 or option C 2070. It is the final or the targeted year for India to achieve net zero carbon emissions. And in the COP26 that was held in the year 2021, India has announced that it aims to achieve net zero emissions by this 2070. And this is a longer term goal compared to the developed nations. Fine. So let's move to the second question then. Try to give answer to the second question. As per India's COP26 commitment, how much energy capacity or how much electricity capacity is targeted from non-fossil sources by 2030? What is our target for focusing on renewable sources of energy or non-fossil sources of energy for electricity generation by 2030? So try to give answer to the question number 8 and recall from the slide 8. In the slide 8 also of lecture 4 it has been discussed. Let me see how many of you have answered it till now. So most of you have opted option B. Only Farid has opted option C. So option C is the correct answer for this question. Question number 2. As you can see that India has committed for achieving 500 gigawatt of energy capacity from non-fossil fuel sources by 2030 as a part of its climate commitments. So this was declared in this COP26 meeting, and option C is the correct answer. Let's move to the next question. Question number 3. Which sector was the largest contributor to India's greenhouse emissions in 2020? Try to give answer to this question as well. Which sector was the largest contributor to greenhouse emission as per the report, IEA report in the year 2020? So as I can see, most of you have answered to this question, and all of you whoever have answered, they have opted option C, and option C is the right answer for this question, that is power generation. Yeah, so in 2020 the power generation sector was the largest contributor to the India's emissions, followed by the iron and steel manufacturing and road transport sectors. This was discussed in the slide 5 of lecture 4. So all of you have opted the correct answer. Let's move to the fourth question then. Here is the fourth question. What is the contribution of Southern Asia to cumulative anthropogenic emissions between 1850 to 2019? Try to give answer to this question in the chat box. And for this, you can parallelly open the slide 11 of lecture 4, and you can recall from there also. In the slide 11 of lecture 4, it was discussed. So, what is the contribution of Southern Asia to cumulative anthropogenic emissions between 1850 to 2019? Choose the most appropriate answer. So, as I can see, till now, two people have answered option D, and Sneha has answered option A. No. Okay, so Alam is opting for 24%. So let me discuss this particular question. And here no option is having 24%. So let me clarify. Yeah, now he's opting the correct answer 4%. So option D, 4% is the correct answer for this question number 4. That is the Southern Asia, including our country India, they have all contributed to only about 4% to the historic net anthropogenic emissions from 1850 to 2019, despite having nearly 24% of the world population. Okay, so I think now this question is also clear. 4% is the correct answer. Okay, so can we move to the next question? Okay, so all of you are clear. So here is the next question then. Here is question number 5. So try to answer to the question number 5. India's NDC does not include which of the following sectors explicitly in its net zero target? So this is very good question, and if you have read the lecture series in detail, then you will be able to answer to this question also, question number 5. And Alam has already answered also. Let's wait for others also to recall and answer to this question number 5. And once this series of lecture sample problems completes, then we will be discussing the most important questions of the previous year assignment questions that were asked in the previous week or previous year week 1 assignment. Those questions are very important, and those questions can directly be asked in your final examination also. So let's finish this, and then we will be discussing the previous year questions. So let me see how many of you have answered to this question number 5. Question number 5. So Alam has answered option C. What about yes? So once the problem solving session and discussion ends, then the whole video will be shared through this YouTube, and the slides will be uploaded, and the link will also be shared to all the participants and the enrolled students. So need not to worry about that. For this will be helpful for you during your final preparation. So it will be shared. So can we move to the next question then? Everybody is clear for this particular question? Okay. So as you all can see for this particular question, question number 5, the correct answer is option C, as Alam has already answered. Like India's net zero target excludes international aviation and shipping emissions, and no plan for inclusion of international credits is currently specified. So you have answered it correctly. Let's move to the important full forms. Like you have gone through several terminologies and several short forms of various agencies, various codes. So let's see how many of you can recall and understand the meaning of those short forms. Here is the first one. So you have heard about NAPCC. This agency you have heard about. So what is the full form of this NAPCC? Try to answer. I have given the options also for your convenience. So what will be the most suitable option? Just these are all very important questions. You will be going through these terminologies, whichever I will be discussing it now several times in the upcoming lectures as well. So you should be clear. What does this NAPCC refers to? So what is the correct answer for this one out of the four options? Farid has answered option A. So option A is not the correct answer for this question number 1. Let me clear. Yeah. So Alam has answered correctly. It is option B. So there is just a minor changes in option A and B, and you should be clear about that it is National Action Plan on Climate Change. Option B. It is the correct answer for this question number 1. So if something will be taught in these terms, so you should be able to understand the meaning of NAPCC. It is India's national strategy to address climate change, comprising 8 core missions and including the NMSH, which we will be discussing later on. So here is the second question. All of you have must have heard about ECBC several times in context of green building policy. So what does this ECBC refers to? That also you should be knowing and you should know. Okay, so as I can see, this ECBC you understood it very well and you have understood it correctly as well. So all of you have opted option B, and option B is the correct answer for this question number 2. That is ECBC refers to the energy conservation and building codes, and this ECBC is a set of minimal or minimum energy efficiency standards for buildings developed by the India's Bureau of Energy Efficiency, which is also referred as BEE under the Ministry of Power. This was question number 2. Let's move to the question number 3 then. What do you understand by GHG? Several times you have used this terminology throughout the lectures. So what do you understand by GHG? So let's see who can answer this question. Let me see if all of you have answered it, then we can move to the next question. Yeah, as I can see, B, most of you have opted, and B is the correct answer for this question. It is greenhouse gas, GHG. Greenhouse gases are the gases that trap the heat in the atmosphere, such as CO2 or methane or nitrous oxide. They are the key contributors to the global warming and climate change. So these GSGs refers to these gases basically. I am getting some noise from the background, so kindly mute the. Okay, let's move to the next question. Question number 4. So based on the previous discussions, try to answer to this question as well. What is the full form of NMSH? NMSH. As I can see, most of you have opted the correct answer. It is National Mission on Sustainable Habitat. This NMSH focuses on the promoting eco-friendly practices, green building codes, and energy efficiency within India's urban and built environment sectors. So you have answered it correctly. Let's move to the next question then immediately. Here is the next question. What is the full form of NDC? NDC also you should be able to answer because several times NDC have been utilized. What does NDC stands for in terms of or in the India's climate commitments? This NDC, let's see how many of you can answer this correctly. Uh, Give us the single and final answer, then I will be discussing it with all of you. What does NDC refers to? So Alam is saying A and Farid is saying C. Okay. So the final answer is option number whichever have been opted by Alam, that is option A, nationally determined contribution. This NDC is nationally determined contribution, not it. And these NDCs are the country specific climate action targets submitted to the UNFCCC under the Paris Agreement. And India's NDC includes greenhouse gas reductions and carbon sink targets. Fine. So I think now you will be able to understand and recall if these kind of questions will be asked in the final examination. What is this NDC? Let's move to the next question. Question number 6. What is the full form of COE? You will find COE. So what is E stands for? Whether it stands for energy or emission or offset emissions. Yeah, as I can see, most of you have answered option B, and option B is the correct answer for this question. That is, E stands for the equivalent, and when it will be written as COE, it means it is carbon dioxide equivalent, which expresses the combined warming impact of all greenhouse gases in terms of the amount of carbon dioxide that would cause the same amount of warming. So it is option B is the correct answer, and all of you have understood it correctly. Let's move to the next question then. So you have heard about various, and in the previous questions also we have discussed about LEED certification. So what does this LEED stand for in context of green building certification? So let's see how many of you have answered it. Let's see whether you are able to answer it correctly or not. LEED, because LEED. So as I can see, B, B, all of you are saying that B is the correct answer. That is leadership in energy and environment design. Fine. So all of you are correct. It is option B. This is LEED, as you can understand as well. Like LEED is an internationally recognized green building certification system developed by the US Green Building Council, which is also called as US GBC, which means US Green Building Council. So let's move to the next question then. Here is the next question, question number 8. What is the full form of Griha? Try to answer to this question as well. Griha. You will be going through these terminologies several times. So try to answer to this question. What is the full form of Griha? And it is the India's indigenous green building rating system. So Farid has, I think, opted B, C. Achha, both of you have opted C for this question. And C is the correct answer for this question. That is green retrofitting and innovation for housing architecture, which is popularly known as Griha. And this is the India's own green building rating system. Like LEED, it was the US one. LEED was the internationally recognized greenhouse certification which was developed by the US Green Building Council. But this Griha is the India's own green building rating system, and it is developed by TERI and endorsed by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Fine. So both of you have answered it correctly. Let's move to the next question, question number 9. Here is the question number 9 in front of you all, and try to answer to this question as well. What is the full form of RCP used in the climate modeling? So I have obtained the answers. As I can see, how many of you have answered to this question, question number 9. Let me see. Okay, so most of you have opted option A, and let me see, are you correct or not? So most of you are saying that it is representative concentration pathway. Yeah, uh, both of you are correct. This RCP that is used in the climate modeling, it is option A, which means representative concentration pathway. And these are the scenarios that include possible greenhouse concentration trajectories that we have discussed in one of our objective problems. That RCP mainly refers to the scenarios of greenhouse concentration trajectories, and they are used by the IPCC for climate modeling and forecasting purposes. Okay, so let's move to the next question then. Question number 10. Here is the question number 10. So you must have also heard about the term UNFCCC. So what does, let me admit someone. Okay. So I think you are late, but fine. We have plenty of questions to discuss more and practice. So try to give the full form of this UNFCCC. What it stands for. Out of the four options, give your answers in the chat box, and try to recall so that later on in the subsequent week lectures, if these short forms will be utilized, then you will be able to recall and refer directly and understand the things well. So let me see for this particular questions how many of you have given your answers in the chat box. Then we will be discussing it in detail. So as I can see, I have got different answers for this particular question. Some of you are saying B, some of you are saying A. Okay, now he is also saying B. Let me see. Yeah, so option B is the correct answer for this question. This UNFCCC refers to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and this UNFCCC is an international treaty adopted in the year 1992 to address climate change, and it organizes the COP. Whatever the COP meetings are there, and COP 21, 26, whichever we have discussed in the previous questions, this is organized by UNFCCC. Okay, then let's move to the next question. Question number 11. So what do you understand by the LCA? Several times we are saying LCA, analysis, LCA. So what is the full form of that LCA? Surasri, you also try to give your answer. How far you have understood the terminology LCA and what do you understand by this? Out of the four options, which option you think is the most suitable one? Try to give your answer.
Sir, I'm on a call, but I cannot type. LCA should represent life cycle analysis.
Okay, okay. So it is the correct answer. Option number B. B is the correct answer for this question. It is life cycle assessment. And this LCA, all of you as know that it is a method to assess environmental impacts associated with all the stages, because it is a life cycle assessment, so it is associated with all the stages starting from the cradle to grave, like from production to its manufacturing to its construction to its operation to its demolition, all the stages of a product from raw material to disposal. Fine. So let's move to the next question. Question number 2. So you have studied about several COPs, COP 21, COP 26. So what do you mean by COP? What does it refers to? COP. Whether it is coefficient of performance or in terms of climate negotiations, what do you understand by COP? What should be the most appropriate answer for this question number 12? Try to give your answers in the chat box. Let me see how far and how many of you have understood it. Then we will be moving to the previous year questions soon. And those are very, very important. They can be asked directly in the exam as it is. So try to answer to this question number 12. Try to give your answers. Whoever are present. Fareed and Alam, they have answered, but I don't know whether it is for previous question or this question number 12. Okay, yeah. So both of you have answered option B, and you just mentioned 12, yeah, like this 12B. Whatever in this sense you have mentioned, this is clear. Like for which question you are mentioning your answer. Yeah, in this pattern you can answer 12, then bracket, then B. Okay, so now I can understand you all have already answered to this question, and this COP means conference of parties. You both of you are correct. It is option B, and this refers to the supreme decision making body of UNFCCC. It meets annually to review progress in climate actions and set new goals. For this purpose, for setting up the new goals and review the progress of the climate actions and the commitments that you have proposed, how much you have worked upon it, these meetings are held annually. Okay, so let's move to the next question. Question number 13. Here is question number 13. Try to give your answers for this question number 13 also in the chat box. GWP. What do you understand by GWP? So someone wants to join now. It has been late, but let me admit. Okay, now Shreya Mishra is there with us. So all of you try to join the session within the stipulated time frame that have been uploaded in the site and maybe mailed to you as well. So for any kind of query that you are facing in the course, maybe in the explanation of some of the lecture slides, or maybe in fee payment or exam pattern, or some conceptual discussion, or just for revision of the concepts or the things that you have studied in this particular week, every week from Tuesday, every week on Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. we will be having problem solving session where we will be discussing the several practice problems of each lectures of week wise, and apart from that, most importantly, we will be discussing the previous year assignment questions that will be very beneficial for you, for who are going to appear for the exams, who have registered for the final exam. So those discussions are very important. It will be a kind of revisions. Okay, so one more people have joined, so we are having lot of guests now. So let me show the question and try to join within the given time frame of 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So it would be better for all of you to get used to the many questions. Like we have discussed around 44 questions, I guess. 46 we are now in here. So here is the question number 13, and most of you have answered it correctly. It was option B, global warming potential. So let's move to the previous year assignment questions. So like this year, you have been given 10 questions in your assignment. In the previous year also, the same course was running, and then 10 important questions were given to the students that you can practice from your for your exam point of view, that we will be discussing here every week. So here is the first question. Try to give answer to the question, and this week assignment is there with all of you. If you are having any query, then you can ask, and this is the previous week assignment questions. These all are very very important, and this is also based on the week 1 lectures only. So you, if you have studied week 1 lectures, then you will be able to answer to these questions as well. This will be the cross check of your concept and the materials that you have studied. So all of you who have joined, they can answer to this question in the chat box, then we will be seeing how many of you are have studied or understood the concept well and going in the correct direction, and how well is the preparation. So till now I can see only one answer have been received, and he is saying Farid is there, and he is saying that option 1 1 is correct answer. So rest of you also try to give your answer if you have some other point of view for this particular question. Question number 1. The atmospheric lifetime carbon dioxide is approximately, sorry, this was the question. The global warming potential of carbon dioxide. So now someone again wants to join. Okay. So we have one more member. All of you give your answer for this question. Question number 1. For carbon dioxide, what is the global warming potential? Mention your question in the chat, answer in your chat box. And when it will be done, then we will be moving to the next question. Previous year assignment questions are there. So Surasri has also answered. She is opting B. Alam is there. He has opted option D. Okay. So I think for those who have not answered, they are waiting for the discussion. Let's discuss the question. So as you can see, option D have been opted by most of the people, and option D is the correct answer for this question. And in the very beginning, it was discussed like the carbon dioxide, and in the previous questions also that we have discussed around 50 questions today of every lectures and several full forms. So in that questions also we have discussed that carbon dioxide is the reference for calculating or for understanding the global warming potential for other greenhouse gases. So its carbon potential or global warming potential have been kept to be 1. So 1, that is option D, is the correct answer for this question number 1. So this was the previous year assignment questions, and this green global warming potential is a measure of how much heat a gas traps in the atmosphere compared to CO2. So let's move to the second question. Let's see how many of you can answer to the assignment question second. Atmospheric lifetime of carbon dioxide. There are 4 options. All of you give your answers. Then we will be discussing it again. As I can see, I am receiving multiple answers for this question, but only one answer is correct. If the same question will be asked in your final examination, so before making mistake there, you try to understand and discuss here within ourselves. Okay, so one people have opted A, one has opted B, and third one has opted C. So any one of you are only correct. So two have opted A. Others also give your answer, final answer. Then we will be discussing this question and then moving to the next previous year question. So I think whoever wanted to answer, they have opted their options. And here I can clarify that for this particular question, question number 2, option A, which was opted by Adhanan and Alam, both have opted the correct answer. Option A is the correct answer, that is 50 to 200 years. Carbon dioxide can stay in the atmosphere for 50 to 200 years, depending on how it cycled through the ocean, land, biosphere, and this long lifespan contributes significant to the long-term climate change. That's why carbon dioxide is an important greenhouse gas. Let's move to the next question, question number 3, and all of you try to give answer to this question number 3 also in your chat box. First, read the question very well and try to avoid the mistake. A higher GWP indicates a more pronounced global warming effect compared to. Again, several different answers I am receiving. Let's see who is the correct answer and who is the winner for this question. Compared to. So every time the GWP will be compared with what? That is the question. It has been asked. And as I can see, most of you have already answered, given your answers in the chat box, and let's see who has answered this question correctly. Yes. So except Farid, all of you have opted option D. And option D is the correct answer for this question. As many times I have explained, this global warming potential is always measured or compared relative to carbon dioxide. And the GWP for carbon dioxide is 1. And higher GWP means that the gas has more stronger global warming effect per unit mass than CO2. Clear? Can we move to the next question then? Can we move to the next question? Okay. So here is the next question for all of you. That is question number 4 of previous year assignment. Here is question number 4. The highest producer of greenhouse gases is. Try to give answer to this question. From where the highest greenhouse emissions is coming? Through bridges, dams, buildings, or energy production? I think most of you have answered. Let me move to the text. How many of you are having similar view, or how many of you are giving the different answers? Yeah, as I can see, Shreya, Adnan, all of you, they are very active, and all of you have answered option D. So, point of view of all of you is same. Option D is the correct answer. That is energy production. This particular sector, you can say, is the highest producer of greenhouse gas. Like whenever you will be doing the energy production, especially it will be done from the fossil fuels. And as you all know that fossil fuel production of energy is the largest contributor to the global greenhouse gas emissions. And this energy production option which have been mentioned in option D, it includes electricity generation, industrial processes, transport sectors powered by coal, oil and gases. So let's move to the next question then, and I hope this question number 5 also all of you will be able to answer correctly like you have answered to the previous question. Just mention question number 5, then mention your preferred choice. or opted option. So I've received one answer till now. Shreya is the second one to answer it. Then we will check whether they are correct or not. Others also try to recall, and this is the asked in the previous year assignment question. So this is also very important problem from exam point of view, and you will be going through this terminology several times during the discussion and the lecture series of this particular course. So you should be knowing the important terminologies like IPCC. What does it refers to? Yeah, as I can see, most of you have answered A. Hmm. And only one answer is option C. So most of you are saying that option A, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, is the correct answer, and this is the correct answer. Absolutely correct. All of you have answered it correctly. It is option A. So whenever it will be asked, you can mark directly to the answer for this question. And let me add on to this particular answer and explain you that this IPCC is a UN body which is responsible for assessing the science related to climate change, and it provides policymakers with scientific data to make climate related decisions that we will be discussing in the subsequent lectures also. So I think let's move to the sixth question of the previous year assignment series. Here is the sixth question in front of you all. So we have discussed about various strategies to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. So which was the best strategy as per you all that you have studied? Try to give answer to this sixth question, and then we will be discussing how far you have understood sixth C has been opted by one of our member. So, Alam has opted two options as I can see. So let me clarify that only one answer is the correct answer for this question, and you can see in the question it has been asked there are several strategies, but which was the best strategy? And you can recall that one chart or one pyramid type diagram was shown in the class where the best strategy to reduce greenhouse gas emission was at the top. So out of the four option, which was the best strategy? That only you have to opt. So none of you have answered it correctly till now. As I can see, most of you are going for option C, but option C is not the correct answer. You can refer to the slides as well. Yeah, now as I can see, Shreya and Alam, they are going in the right direction and they are opting for option A. Yes. So option A, it is the correct answer for this particular question. To build nothing. You can recall it was the first one, and where it was well explained that while building the efficiently and minimizing the waste are effective, they are effective ones. Other options are also effective ones, but the most effective strategy that was discussed is the in terms of greenhouse emission reduction is build nothing. not to build at all. So how will we live? How where we will we live? So in that regard, ma'am has well explained that whenever you will be doing the construction, material production contribute heavily to the carbon emissions. So this strategy of build nothing is the best strategy to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, since you will be having the flexible control, flexible constructions. Whenever you will be requiring more space, you will be doing the flexible constructions. In terms of that, whether your family size is increasing, one adult, one member, like that example was also explained to you. So build nothing was the, or it is the correct answer for this question number 6, and it was the question that was also asked in the previous year. Is it clear now, or do you all need some more explanation? If it is clear, then yes, it is clear for Alam. It is clear to all of you? No. Okay. So it is not clear to Adnan. So let me move to the slide. Then I will be able to explain him much better. So my screen is visible. Let me go to the course slide. Then I can make explain the things better to Adnan. So there you will be able to see the things more clearly. Yeah. From here you can see when we were discussing in the lecture different strategies, and the best one to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions from the buildings, then you will find in the here in lecture 2 and slide number 6, you will find that when you will be again watching the lecture 2 of week 1, then you will be seeing that in slide number 6 ma'am has explained that build nothing, it is the top or the best strategy for reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. And how it can be done? It is done design flexible and adaptable structures. With the help of these, we can repurpose or refurbish the buildings, but not doing the new constructions. So are you guys able to recall? Is it clear now? Adnan? Okay. So fine. It is clear. Then we can move to the next question then. So this is all the basic understanding of the course and lectures of week 1 that you have studied. You should be able to answer to these questions that was directly asked in the assignment. So this is clear. Let's move to the next question then. Here is question number 7. Net zero buildings. This is also we have covered in the previous sample problem questions. This was also asked in the previous year assignment question also. So which is the most appropriate answer? Give your answers in the chat box. Seven. So as the name suggests itself, and I can see most of you have opted B answer. So B will be the correct answer. Consumes no energy from the grid. I can show you from the previous year assignment as well. This one was the previous year assignment. Yeah, this was the seventh question, number 7. As you can see, net zero buildings, and the accepted answer was consumes no energy from the grid. That was the main definition or the terminology net zero building means. So option B, whoever has opted option B, this is the most appropriate answer. So let's move to the next question. Here is the next question. Seventh we have covered. You can see here is question number 8 for all of you. Challenges in future trends in greenhouse gas reductions include. Now try to give answer to this question. Question number 8. This is very important question. How many of you can understand? Type your answers in the chat box. Let's see how many of you can answer it correctly. Then we will be discussing it. So Adnan has answered 8th D. Others also give your answers. Read the question carefully and give your answers. Then we will be moving to the next question, last two questions. Then we will be ending the session at 9 p.m. So far, we have discussed around 50 questions for the week 1 content of this course, and based on the understanding that you were having and the misconceptions, and we have discussed several problems and clarified the doubts of several students. Similarly, the problem solving sessions and the practice, you can say it is a practice problem solving session. It will be happening each week from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Tuesday, where we will be practicing the sample problem, previous year problem, and assignment problem questions of the particular week. So it will be happening week wise, once in a week. So all of you try to join the meeting in the given time slot and make the session interactive one and learning one. So let's see, all of you are joining from different regions of the country. How many of you have answered it? Let's see for question number. Okay, so two people have answered D. Farid and Adnan, thankful for your answers. And let's see others. Shreya wants to add some answer to this question. D. Okay, Shreya is also opting option D. So option D, whichever option you people have opted, you are absolutely correct. You have understood the lecture of this week very well. That is challenges in the future trend in greenhouse reduction includes neither of use of high embodied building materials, neither use of fossil fuels. It is both of them are opposite to the reduction aim. To reduce the greenhouse emissions, what we have to do, future trends must avoid high embodied carbon emission materials and should avoid the fossil fuel based transport systems. These practices contribute to the carbon footprint, not to the reduction of greenhouse emissions. Fine. So let's move to the ninth question then. Here is the ninth question of the assignment problem of previous year. Try to give answer to this question as well. Which of the which of these statements as compared to the rest of the countries is true regarding India? So this was also well explained. How much greenhouse emissions is there from side India? What is the rank of India in greenhouse emissions? But what is its rank as per capita emissions? So which is the most appropriate answer out of the four options given below? Choose them and answer them in the chat box and mention 9 bracket A, B, C, D. So it will be better to understand which answer you are giving for which question. Okay, so I have received two answer A and D, I guess. 9A, 9D. Yeah. So the correct answer for this question is option A. To get it clarified that India's greenhouse emission is low, whatever was mentioned by Farid in option D, as he has selected option D, this is wrong. Option A is the correct answer for this question, and option D is not the correct answer, which was supported by Farid. So, as per option A, the India's greenhouse emissions are high. India was ranking, I guess, third in the list, but India's per capita emissions are low. So, option A is the most appropriate answer for this question number 9. So, it is clear, then we can move to the 10th question of the assignment problem. Can we move? Is it clear? Farid, I think Farid was only having some doubt. Can we move to the next question? Okay, thank you for your response. So here is the next question and the last question of the day, I think. Yes, here is the last question of the day. And with this, try to give answer to this question also correctly and don't be in hurry. Read the question carefully and options and choose the most appropriate one. And who have people who have completed the assignment of week 1, they will be able to relate the things like this such kind of question or this particular question is also asked in the previous year assignment and this year assignment also. So if you will be solving the previous year assignment questions, this year assignment questions, and some of the sample problems that we have discussed today, then all these problem questions apart from the lectures that we have seen in this particular week, all will be a bunch of problems you will be having, and all will be helpful for you in your final examination and securing a good credit or grade in the final examination. So practice once in a week in this particular problem solving session. So let's see how many of you have answered it correctly. This question is also in your assignment, you can recall. Let me see how many of you have answered. Shreya Mishra has answered A. Adnan is A. Okay, she is corrected. And A. I think most of you are saying A. And option A you are opting for high storing. But let me correct you guys. A is not the correct answer. So practice and give your answers again. Option A is not the correct answer. High carbon storing sources. And in the previous practice questions also I have discussed today. Kalyani wants to join. She left. Oh, no. So set the alarms for next session, and before ending the session, try to give answer to the question number 10. Here is the question number 10. A is not the correct answer. High carbon storing sources. And as I have discussed in the previous question also, vegetations, vegetables or forest, they are the storing carbon storing materials because they absorb most of the carbon then they emit. So what should be the correct answer for this question? Give your final answer. Then we will be discussing it and closing the today's problem solving session. Yeah, now I can see most of you now are going in the right direction. So if you are going in the right direction now, so why you people have earlier answered it as A? Yeah, Shreya was right earlier also. She has answered B. Now also she has answered B. So B is the correct answer for this particular question, question number 10 of the previous year assignment. As you can see, bamboo, first of all, it is a rapidly renewable material and it absorbs large amount of CO2 during its growth. So unlike brick, stone, mud, whatever is mentioned here, it acts as a carbon sink. CO2 is more, this bamboo is more prone to or more efficient in carbon sink and making it as a sustainable building material. That's why in sustainable construction we utilize bamboo construction in some of the places. So it is clear to all of you. The explanation is clear to all of you. Kindly give your final feedback. The session, today's problem solving sessions, we have invested 2 hours. Was that helpful for you in your chosen coursework? Can we end the session? And wish you uh, all the best, and we'll meet you again with bunch of questions in the next problem solving session in the Tuesday 7 to 9 p.m. We will be discussing the previous year questions of week 2 and some of the sample problems based on the lecture series of week 2. Thank you all. So I'm ending the session. Thank you all for joining. We will meet you next Tuesday. Thank you.